Come on now. You can do it. Come on. All right. All right. I think we're back. Okay, that looks messed up, but yay. All right, let me know if this is buffering. I'm going to fix this. It should be, let's see, transform. Fit to the screen. Webcam should be on top. Where did it? Okay, yeah, right click. Let me try to put it onto the top. Right now the webcam's behind the other image. Bear with me. Let's see. You just have to move it to the top. It did not work. It may just actually be off screen. So, all right, let's move it to center on the screen. Yeah, okay. That's ridiculously large. Whoopsie. So let's shrink me down a little bit. Okay. All right. How is it? Roll call. Success? Is it success? I think it's good. All right, sorry guys, I found the mismatch, and for all of my buffering and stuff, like, bitrate adjustments, I failed to notice that on the second page my resolution was totally messed up. So it was set at some insane thing where I was messing with it, like 3840 by something resolution, and I was trying to do it to a 1080p monitor, so whoopsie. Hey 41, okay, let's catch you up on things. My apologies. Thank you all for being here. First of all, I needed to have done 2 streams before this because they're so overdue. Wait, can you see my hand? Okay, I'm trying to get where I am. There's a delay, a 20-second delay or something in my own preview. I'm going to have to move that. So not only was I not prepared in this room, I've just ordered some desks to become prepared for it. There's been some kind of remodeling here. And so everything was torn up. I wanted to go live at 8:30 when my meeting ended, and I kid you not, this is the weirdest thing. And first of all, I wanted to do 2 streams before this, but an earthquake happened in the middle of a disaster earthquake meeting that I was in. I want to see weird things happen to us, I guess. So I wanted to do a stream of I'm alive and I seem to be cancer-free, thank God. That was the big concern. I've been bedridden from October to almost March. So just a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I took my first venture outside by myself where I drove my own car and didn't have to have somebody with me in case I collapsed. I was out of breath, crossing the room, muscles atrophied and such. It was god awful. I wanted to go live many different times and just say, hey, I'm okay, or God, look at those horrible fires in Canada, and do a whole bunch of activities. But I was not looking good. I'm still not looking very good. So it was going to be demoralizing. So this is something I want to, yeah, super good news. That's something I want to do later. And I've also was struggling with my brother's death. You guys helped me through it right around Christmas. But I found out that he died to a medical mistake, really, ultimately. And just when I was just feeling better about things, that just crashed me back down. And it was a sad thing. So I was then going to go live just about 2 weeks ago, and I found out another very close family member has cancer, and I don't know how bad it is. So I wanted to make a health update stream. I'm still going to do that. I mean, if you guys want me to talk about that at the end, I can. Incredibly grateful for your support. I haven't meant to be out of the loop or anything. I've just been it was like fighting for my life, you know. I'm trying to do things like taxes and whatnot to get me ready for Firestream, and I'm more than 6 months behind. I left California thinking I'd be back in like 2 weeks last summer, and it seems a virus attacked my kidneys. I'm not even sure. I have to get more tests. But thank you. If you guys have to go to bed, then I hopefully can stream tomorrow. Thank you, Cheryl and everybody. It's a good I'm so glad that the stream is holding up. I'm very grateful for your support. I haven't been meaning to be away, but I didn't have any 100% good news. I wasn't confident on it. It's been a struggle. So the second stream I wanted to do was the thank you stream and do the party and scroll all the donors past and all the wonderful people I need to thank. And explain why I suddenly left California with a lot of people going, where did she go? I want to return to film California before the fires happen and after the snows melt, but it looks like that isn't real. Like, how are the snows right now? If anybody's in the area, I imagine a lot is still on the ground that hasn't quite melted yet. If flooding happens, I will go down there like that. And not only evacuate some family members and some family heirlooms that are down there, but I'll stream that too. So I was gonna say if I have to use a cell phone tonight, I will stream. Yeah, Shaz, my health was super scary, and I'm praying for you too. It's so sad that what happened to both me and Shaz is that our medical doctors misdiagnosed us as something that's not that bad. And then, get imaging done in a month or whatever. And so as soon as that wild goose chase was done, they said, actually, you might have cancer. And it was like, oh, great. Yeah. No, that's a month delay. That's not good. So I got lucky. It's pure luck that I'm alive. If it had been cancer, I probably would have been dead. That would have been like a stage 4 symptom I had. So, sorry. I also told all my mods I will inform you before I go live next. But here's the situation. So 41 South, everybody. Weird things happen to me. I'll just start out with, I don't know how broken I was last stream, but I don't think there's been another aftershock. Looks like 3.0 that happened right around, what was it, 10:45 was the last aftershock showing up on this, but I don't know that I have the settings proper that show anything below 2.0. There may be a series of paroxysms that are like 1.0 and whatever, but oh yeah, this right in front of my face. U.S. Geological Survey, magnitude 2.5s and greater. So there's could be a bunch of 1.0s. Nobody would ever feel that, but you can bet your bippy that the ground is restless. So before I get too far into anything, I am quite concerned about Canyon Dam. We do not have any news that there's any dam failure or anything wrong with it. However, I didn't know until just now that it's sitting on top of a fault line, and KCRA does this thing where, sorry, the pen doesn't work on this monitor, but the fault line runs along the west shore and kind of like the tip of the peninsula. And as you can see, that's where the dam is right here. This is in terrain mode, I think. Yeah, this is satellite mode. That is the dam that holds back all the water in this artificial lake. The depth is approximately 100 to 150 feet. I know that because there's a ghost town underneath the lake that I always wanted to scuba dive to called Prattville. It used to be called Big Meadows back in the day, and it was just this big, expansive meadow. Then they built the dam for hydroelectric power and flood control purposes. There's a series of dams going down the Feather River to the south at a really small scale for the most part, generating power and whatnot. And yes, this same Feather River Canyon and those lines that were made in like 1916 were never maintained or updated really. And so left to their own devices, they held out for 96 years before finally collapsing in the wind in a very normal seasonal storm in 2018, November 8th, a date that will live in infamy, and that caused the Paradise Fire. So Paradise is south of here and to the west. So, yeah, it's PG&E. What can you say? So they don't, putting it mildly, they don't have the best safety record. So I do not have any information if the dam's in trouble at all, but just knowing what I do about history, and there is precedent. Places like Italy, where you have minor earthquakes and people say, oh, dams are fine and everything's great, but nobody can predict when another one happens. If there's been a series, sometimes there's a follow-up. So something bigger than this, or a landslide into the lake, I'm not too worried about that because there's not much high ground around the lake, kind of flat. But those kind of scenarios could damage it in the middle of the night. Nobody would know. There's no like tornado sirens thing, you know. Yeah, Rick Hopp says under 150 feet of water is about as ghost as a ghost town could get. Yeah, they moved Prattville to the shore, and so there's like a new one on the shore. They moved the not that many buildings. They moved the cemetery, so there are wooden cemetery grave markers here. Let me just zoom in. Right around here. Here, actually, maybe it's hard for me to see in the satellite thing, but the new Prattville has a little cemetery, and there's gold miner, like 49er graves, and they're wooden, and you have to take a stencil and a piece of paper and stencil it out to read them. Sometimes some of them can still read. Yeah. Oh, 41. Why are you not a mod? Yes, of course you can drop a link. So hang on a second. So add as moderator. All right. I have knighted you, 41 South. Thanks for being here. You're awesome. You guys should check out his channel. I've been a guest person on his channel in the middle of the night, like, because he's in Tasmania. 41 South used to live in Greenville. I believe the house that you lived in got burned down. But so did 95% of Greenville by PG&E. So, hey, Blistering. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for popping in. This is a very unusual situation. So we know now that there's a fault line back to the quake. We know that there's a fault line that goes down to the dam, but I was just saying, not to cause panic or anything, it's extremely unlikely, but not within, it's still within the realm of possibility that if there was a dam failure due to, like, say, a secondary quake that was larger than this one, a landslide event or something else, I don't think PG&E would have any way to warn anybody downstream. Whenever there's a dam created, there is a necessary series of papers that need to be filed with counties usually, and that is what happens in the event of a dam failure. And so somewhere there's, I don't know if we can find it online or if it would be in a courthouse or something, from dating back to the turn of the century, would be if the dam were to fail at this water level or that one or that one or that one, what would be destroyed downstream and how fast would it take the water to reach downstream. I do not have access to that because I've just been trying to set up the stream. That would be good to find out. During the Orville spillway crisis, when they had a double spillway failure, unreal, but led to the risk of having 70,000 people downstream drown in a tidal wave and all the levees collapse. That was a real risk, and that wasn't too long ago. So God knows the status of this much older dam and where it can and can't be inspected under 100 to 150 feet of water. I think it's earthen, just like Orville. Don't quote me on that. Hard to tell from this thing. We just drive over this part right here, and mostly I would look at this weird thing called the castle, which I can show you on satellite view or whatever. maybe Street View. It's like a water gauge, and it looks like a. Oh, crying out loud. Okay, guys, that's supremely annoying. I'm gonna write a bad review about these headphones. They're $500. They're Bang& Olufsen headphones. And even though you are talking on them, maybe even doing a presentation, maybe even being on TV or on YouTube, if there's nothing coming in through the ear cups, the battery protector turns them off. Okay, how stupid is that? Yeah, Brandon Jerry 131 says there isn't much down that canyon. Right, there's Belden though, Paxton, the Kitty Y, a lot of little individual cabins. I know a bunch of them burned down, but there's Indian Falls. You know, there's plenty of places. There's Seneca, the ghost town. I mean, there's still people who had their cabins saved in that area. There's also Caribou, which isn't really a community anymore. It's more of a PG&E. I don't want to call it substation, but you know where they control all the things. Even the loss of one life would be too much in a preventable situation like this. No, I'm sorry. It's I don't have very good monitors set up. I'm trying to monitor chat. Thank you all who are helping me with that. Yeah, Cheryl Simpson says BC is overdue for an earthquake. Yeah, there's been some earthquakes off the coast of Oregon. Like Smitty was saying, he had to go to bed. But Smitty said that you know the Salton Sea stuff is a bit interesting, and there's been a bit of restless activity at Mammoth Mountain a little bit. I would like to know if this was volcanic, because I don't think anything like this has happened since Lassen rumbled to life and exploded, Mount St. Helens style, during World War One. 1918 eruption. It was active from 1916 to 18 before it just blew up. So you were down there at Seneca. What's left? I know the gin mill burned down. Can you tell me? Yeah. Mostly seasonal residents at the high side, though. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But we've got Belden, Rich Bar, Indian Falls, and the remains of the what was that called? The Polga, uh, which has gone through two wildfires now. Whatever is still there. Hey, good night, magnets. So they rebuilt the gin mill. Oh, that is so amazing. So my story, real brief, before we go back to exploring the seismic things that are going on here. Looks like there has not been, an aftershock larger than 3.0 since 10:45 p.m. Pacific time, and we're on daylight savings time. So Rick Hop says, "Am I saying Hop right? I hope I am. Just looked at a seismic map of BC. Indeed, it's a high risk area. Yeah. Um, if you haven't heard of Nick Zentner, Zenter, his lectures on the Cascadia subduction zone, the Columbia River basalts, and the fact that Oregon and Washington State are rotating, and then they click back, and then they rotate and click back, like within the plate boundary, like it's like their own mini rotating thing they're doing. Your head will just explode. He's a genius and well ahead of his time. And to say sure, University of Washington or Washington State, I just get those confused. Rhymes with poppy. Hoppy? Gotcha. It's Hoppy. So you are now Mr. King. You're now Captain Kangaroo because you're Mr. Hoppy. Okay. So just, I know it's a great honor that I bestow a nickname upon you, but please contain your excitement. So, yeah, 41 South. You were going to link somebody who predicts earthquakes. That's nuts. I will check this person out. Oh, that person. No, no, not that person. We'll talk later about that. Hey, thanks for being here, Flacco 97. Yeah, I really don't think there's anything wrong with the dam. I cannot stress this enough. However, in Italy, there were a series of quakes not too long ago, late 90s, early 2000s, and everybody rushed outside and thought, should we sleep in our cars and tents outside? And they said, look, the worst is over. You can return to your homes. They returned to their homes, and the worst earthquake was yet to come and killed a lot of people. Nobody on earth can say the worst is over and we know the future about earthquakes. Nobody can. So I just want to put it out there that if I live downstream, immediately downstream, given the fact there's no like air raid sirens sort of things, nobody can go door to door in a situation. And I wouldn't count on your phone ringing, if there was a wall of water coming toward you. I was downstream of a dam that I now know is sitting on a fault line and was built more than 100 years ago. There's a possibility of greater quakes coming. Myself, I would feel safer getting to a higher elevation and just going camping for a couple of days maybe, and not dwelling and going to sleep in the canyon downstream. I don't think Orville has anything to worry about. Any place like Orville and downstream, you're going to have notice. But if I was at the Kitty Y or Paxton or something, the thing about Canyon Dam, though, as a town, is it's gone. It burned down. It was one of the most shocking things for me to see. I had plans when I was in California last summer to first film the Dixie Fire. Sea Probe rented an airplane. We got John Stoker there and Sister Golden Hair ready as crew to help me film. And so the 4th of July, the first day I arrived, the Electra fire broke out. The Electra fire, and that threatened John Stoker's house. So we immediately canceled those plans to go down and try to get his possessions ready to evacuate. And I meant to come back to Plymouth County, but my health started to fail while in California, and I had no idea that my kidneys were being attacked by presumably a virus, could have been COVID. But I started just sort of fading out and wondering, why am I so dang sick? Tried to cover the Electra fire. I did interview people related to the Caldor, people who lived in that area. I did film extensively around the Caldor fire for my documentary, but that it's not complete. I need to go back down there and refilm. I came back to Oregon just thinking, when I identified a toothache and an ear infection, I thought, that's it. I definitely want my super dentist to take care of this in Oregon. So I returned to Oregon and in late August, and I was like, what's wrong with me? In September, it just got worse. And then in October, that's when the first sign of extreme kidney problems showed up, which you can Google up gross hematuria if you're brave enough. If you're squeamish, don't do it. So I was then bedridden till March, from October to March. So April, I kept thinking I'd be ready to stream, but it's been harder to get over my brother's death, and now I'm scared again because a close family member now has cancer. So I don't know how bad. But I'm so happy that the gin mill has been rebuilt in Seneca. That's awesome. It was, I have some pictures. Do you want to see some old pictures of me at the gin mill? Seneca is a ghost town. There's many ghost towns around here. At least there were until, the Dixie Fire just burned to the ground a bunch of those. I hope people are still with me. Live chat stopped. It doesn't, but I can tell you it was deep. 41 South, he's asking how deep the quake was. people in Sacramento felt it. And let's watch the video. I totally forgot about it. Let's just watch the KCRA video. While I do have relatives around Yuba City, that's not them who submitted these ridiculous pictures. Like, the exciting footage of the earthquake is like Yuba City having a chandelier and like a gently swaying fake stained glass thing in a window. I'm hoping somebody will have caught images from up there, Janesville, Susanville, Plymouth County. Oh, thank you, Brandon J. 131, and thanks for coming back. Because I'm so sorry to hear about your health and your brother's passing. I really appreciate what you and your channel did for the Dixie. Thank you, and I'm so incredibly grateful for my whole team that helped with that. Dixie was hard for me. He says, I was here on a lot during my evacuation and my return. I'm glad you came out alive, alive from it. We almost had a mass death event in Greenville. They let the fire trucks melt in the street, ushering people out. And for some stupid reason, the sheriff let all the evacuees return like a day before 95% of the town burned down. So there were dozens of missing people, 1 to 2 dozen in the aftermath, and they were all accounted for, thank God. Desiree, hello, how are you? So, what, Cheryl? Is that an out of control wildfire in Canada that you're talking about? I've just seen some of that. Just, oh my goodness. But I am going to be here at Fire Stream this summer, come hell or high water. It's a delicate balance. I will need a robust laptop. I will need donations to afford one in order to take the show on the road. I need to finish filming. Film anything at all, really, at Plymouth County for the Dixie Fire documentary, aftermath stuff. And I need to go back and interview people with equipment that I promised to return to in the forgotten fire areas, such as Loma Rica and Bangor with the Cascade Fire, the Electra Fire people, and Caldor Fire people. Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. It's been super hard. The winter of my discontent, but I'm in a place of gratitude. Everything could have been so much worse. I could be bald right now. I'm telling you, hey, somebody pick up where I leave off. I'm about to die. I mean, that could have easily been, a coin toss. That could have been. So I am doing way better. I actually went to the zoo and did not require the wheelchair that I thought I would. So 41 South, I recorded a lot of the Oregon Zoo for you. I had a house guest too, and it's weird to tell a house guest, "Can you help me cook?" But my health held up, so I will be setting up a better streaming situation here and have everything proper. I've got a good microphone and some other awesome things. Alexa, make the color light orange. Sorry, this is right in my eyes. I'll hopefully get better lighting too. Wait, is this too dark now? Oh, yeah, that's really dark. Alexa, make the color light 100%. I got like smart bulbs now, friends. I hope you don't mind this. Do I look like a Smurf or something? Or Donald J because I'm orange? Alexa, make the color light yellow. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's okay. Alexa, make the color light 1%. Okay. Okay, that's way too much. Alexa, make the color light 35%. Okay. All right, is this a happy medium? I'm in the dark, but whatever. I'm gonna wrap. Super headache. Yeah, I can describe it for you, Brandon J, if you're not squeamish, but you wouldn't want to know. Like, gross hematuria. Oh, God. It looked like I was dying every day. I need somebody to help me wash my hair. cross the room and sit down, and my pulse would race out of control, and my smartwatch would be like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" with like Samsung Health thing, you know. And my oxygen level would go down to 78 at night, and then just crossing the room and sitting down. It's like when you breathe, there is no oxygen. Okay, is the sound back? I'm so sorry, guys. You know what? Because it keeps turning itself off, because it doesn't hear anything, I'm going to turn the sound of a crackling fireplace on in the background. Is that too distracting? No, I'm not. No, I don't want fire sounds right now. We're going to have too much of that. I'm going to do rain sounds, rain on a tin roof. Because we'll be missing the rain. We'll be missing it soon enough. Oh, that's super loud. Okay. Even at its lowest setting, that's pretty loud. Okay. How's this? I'm just gonna turn it down to gentle mode. Is that good? Thanks. This isn't Bluetooth. These are actually $500. I didn't pay that much, you know, sale. Bang & Olufsen headset that's supposed to be Bluetooth connected to your cell phone at the same time as a 2.5 gigahertz radio USB dongle connection to Windows 10. So you can have simultaneous connections. It's supposed to have a dandy microphone, but it's junk, really. I mean, I don't sound that great. Oh, cool. You know, Alexa, I've got one of those with the screens. And the news story was firefighters celebrate 1-year anniversary of rescuing elderly people from a nursing home. That's cool. Sorry, squirrel, you know, I'm an ADD person. Okay. Well, it sounds good, then good. So I'm going to write a stern letter, like, if I had paid $500 for these, I'd not be happy with my purchase. Hell, I'm not happy with, you know, spending the $250 or $300 or whatever it was on Black Friday. I really thought these would be the end of all the problems. You can charge them while talking, so remember how I used to run out of battery? I thought it would have a super microphone and just work well, but so the noise canceling is pretty good. Except I can still hear leaf blowers, and that still makes me want to commit murder when I hear a leaf blower. Just kidding, but yeah, the search for perfect headphones goes on. In case the microphone wasn't good, I've got a nice microphone that when we do a thank you stream, I'll show you the goodies. I haven't even unwrapped it yet, but it's really cool. It's like a 1930s microphone. So that should be awesome. Okay, sorry. I promised you guys to watch this, and first I'm going to mute the rain, full screen this, and we're going to watch KCRA's coverage of the Quake thing. Hopefully my webcam is not in the way too much. If it is, I'll just turn it off for a second. Okay, adjust volume. Here we go.
So far, we aren't hearing any reports of any significant damage, but we've been getting a lot of calls from a lot of you saying that you've moved our whole set.
Whoops.
To follow breaking news out of Plymouth County, the U.S. Geological Survey data shows a 5.5 earthquake hit near Lake Almanor about 4:20 today. There have been several aftershocks since that.
That's right. So far, we aren't hearing any reports of any significant damage, but we've been getting a lot of calls from a lot of you saying that you felt it, and we know we felt it here in downtown Sacramento, right here in our studio. A lot of shaking. It moved our whole set around. We want to bring in Chief Meteorologist Mark Finan. And Mark, there is a fault line line there?
Yeah, it's called the Almanor Fault. There are a number of faults in Plumas County, but the main fault goes right down where that peninsula is on the north end of Lake Almanor, if you're familiar with the lake. So 5.5, that was the main earthquake that everybody felt. And it was felt in Sacramento, it was felt in Stockton, Elk Grove, it was felt in Grass Valley, felt throughout a wide area. But since that main earthquake at 419, since then there have been 4 to 5 minor aftershocks. They've been in the 2.5 to 2.8 range, so there may be some minor shaking still going on that you're feeling in Plumas County. But that main earthquake that happened a little bit more than a half an hour ago, 5.5, that's been adjusted to 5.7 at one point, 5.4, and I think now they settle in on 5.5. That's right at that level. Between 5.5 is just when you start to get into the possibility of damage. Usually earthquakes lower than 5.5 do a lot of shaking but not a lot of damage. Once you start getting into the 5.5 to 6 range, that's when you do have the possibility of damage. So we'll have to continue to see, because this was felt through such a wide area, whether or not there has been any resulting damage through Plumas County or even adjoining counties. Back to you.
Thanks, Mark. We're starting to get some pictures in from the event today, the earthquake. And here's some video from Yuba City. And somebody had the presence of mind to whip out their phone. And, well, that's a great example there. You can see just they looked for something that was moving, and you can see the stained glass in the windows rocking back and forth, kind of like what our lights did here in the studio.
Which I have video of. I should probably send that.
Yeah, you should probably send that right over.
So we can show it.
That'd be great.
John in Elk Grove sent us this video, and you could see the lights moving there. Yeah, you can see it kind of moving around. It was surprising how long the moving lasted, because we've had several earthquakes that we've experienced while live on the air, and I got to say the lights moved more than they ever have before, the lights that are hanging from our ceiling. We're joined on the phone right now by Marissa Hay. She's in Chester.
Okay, I just want to butt in there. That's pretty funny. They're kind of breaking into laughter because this is about the lamest video we could ever have about an earthquake. Like, oh man, wow. It's just the slightly swaying stuff. Like, I'm sure bottles broke, flying off the shelves in bars and stuff in Chester and that sort of thing, But it's like, really, this is the best we could get. And I'm not making fun of these people who sent it. But wow, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So let's listen to a caller who was at Chester.
And felt the earthquake, Chester not far from the epicenter. So Marissa, what was it like for you when it happened?
It definitely takes you off guard, that's for sure. The ground underneath you starts rocking, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's an earthquake,
Yeah. Well, and I'll ask you what we asked somebody else up from your area. How long did it take you to realize, oh my goodness, it's an earthquake?
Probably 2 seconds, and it feels like it lasted for a good 6. It was a rocker for sure. I've been in a 7-pointer before, and it felt just a little bit less than that.
Yeah, it felt more of a back and forth, side to side, as opposed to an up and down feeling like a roller coaster. Would you agree, Marissa?
Yes, I would agree with that.
So anything get broken at the house, or is everything good? Or
so I was at the Timber House restaurant and brewery when it happened, and we have all kinds of lights hanging and chandeliers, and they were swinging back and forth.
Yeah. And
then over at the brewery, we have 7-foot windows, and they were just shaking like crazy. And the bottles on our shelves, we had to run to them and push them back on the shelf because they were rocking off of the shelves. And then we went outside and saw that the AstroTurf nails had actually shook up out of the AstroTurf.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
It was a shaker for sure.
Kind of like what they show in the movies.
Yeah.
When the little nails come up out of the AstroTurf.
Right, that's exactly what I thought of. Yeah, it was wild.
All right, Marissa, thank you so much. We're glad everyone there is safe and that there were no injuries. We appreciate you.
Oh, guys. Okay, first, good night, people who are going to bed, but don't let me forget, there's time lapses we can do now of the alert wildfire camps. And we have to do that before the time lapses go away. So if that was 4 p.m., it's midnight. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 8. We may have to resort to doing the 24-hour time lapse now instead of the 6. Crap. So I'm so sorry that there is such a delay in the technical things. We should definitely do that. before doing something else. So let me get up alert wildfire cams on my other monitor, and then we shall see. Now they're going to take a sequence of photos. Wait, what? Wait, what? Where's the alert wildfire cams for Northeast California? Am I insane here, or is there no dot for the Plumas County area? What? Okay, Nevada, North Bay, the North Coast, Oregon, Sierra, and Foothills. That's wrong. That's down. That's too far south. Greater Tahoe is too far south. Wait. What? Are they down? I knew they were down like months ago. What? Okay. Yeah, Desiree, yeah. I hope you and Smitty get better too with the COVID. Yeah, get your rest. Definitely. Thank you for showing up. They've lost their cameras. We can't see the snowpack or the earthquake live or anything. What? We need these to monitor for the wildfires for this season. We need them like right now. What? Oh, okay. Hey, Rhonda, how are you? You know, I'm not going to say that because I'm superstitious, but knock on wood, I'm getting a lot stronger. I'm so impressed with how much stronger I was a week ago than like 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I was just, so far, so good. I'm just trying not to overdo it and, send myself spiraling or something, but I am incredibly grateful to just be alive. I'm not 100% just making that declaration. The sharpness, I'm a little bit lost for words, kind of tripping with my tongue. That sort of thing is going to take a while to come back. But hey, I lived. I never thought my intelligence would come back after the first time I had COVID either, because it just went on for weeks and I felt like an idiot. But it does. You just gotta wait. The best working theory now is COVID or some other major virus attacked my kidneys. Super lucky. So, Brandon, you were saying that you try to stop people from going into Greenville and repopulating it. Yeah, good on you. I tried my best too. I should try a lot harder. I didn't know who. What's his name in Taylorsville? Oh, the firefighter there. Why can't I think of his name? See what I mean? I didn't know him well enough or about him to broadcast his message of stay the hell away from Greenville, it's unsafe. He had seen how the line wasn't going to hold. If wind picked up, sure enough, wind picked up, line didn't hold. And I woke up and Greenville was gone. Okay. So Brandon J131 says the alert wildfire cams above Lake Almanor got knocked out by snow. Dang. And according to Jim at Digital Pack, they will be operational again very soon. I hope so. Darn. Okay. I don't know of any other webcams where we can rewind. The traffic cams probably wouldn't have shown a dang thing because they update like every 2 minutes. We may have to just wait for people's footage. If you have footage, then please submit it to me and say I'm allowed to use it on a stream. Here is my email. It's kathryn.davidson.wildfires@gmail.com. Would be much obliged. Sorry, I'm saying constantly. Dang it, I was really hyped up for this. That was going to be cool. I guess we could search for general news. Maybe somebody's got some footage, but the copyright issues, you know, as long as I link back to KCRA here, they're pretty dang lenient. Here it is in the chat. And really cool in general about, you know, sharing their news. As long as I just don't broadcast the whole thing and as an alternative to watching their stuff. You should go there, you should click the link, give them some traffic, click on a few of their ads, you know what I'm saying, support your local journalists, because what we do without them. They cover fires pretty well. ABC 10 does in a pretty extraordinary way. But if you do, you know, few channels even have more than a, oh, and by the way, X burned down today, and a wildfire got bigger by X acreage. That's usually all the media does. When ABC 10 goes out there and hits the road and puts a microphone right in front of a burning forest, you know, they're awesome. When the citizen journalists do that, they're awesome. People like Sarah Luna. And when KCRA gets in a helicopter and films close up all the splashes from all the airplane wildfire fighting, you know, they're awesome. Oh, I need to tell you guys about ODART and the supremely strange coincidence of today. Weird things happen to me. I'm going to make a YouTube video playlist called Weird Things Happen to Me with my stories of extremely strange coincidences. I kid you not, guys. Today, while the earthquake was happening, I was preparing for a drill. It's an exercise on Saturday, and I will be streaming this live on Saturday, and unless there's some strange, unless they need me to film the airplanes, I will be streaming this exercise. But it's a pilot volunteer organization. One of them is called CalDART. California did it first, and you know, before it was cool. But now there's an ODART for Oregon, and it's pilots that volunteer that after an earthquake especially, but they do mobilize for wildfires. After a disaster, that they would use airports to deliver supplies and perhaps even passengers like doctors, you know, to communities cut off from like roads from landslides and such. Places like Chester, and we were talking about Chester, and one of the pilots got assigned to Chester, CPRO, who volunteered for this and flew a plane today to practice for this drill. He will be flying from like Roseburg or someplace like that into California. I can't remember the airport. But they've got 39 different airports involved, and I think 29 pilots and 10 backup pilots to do this exercise, and that's to prove, and they're just delivering dummy packages that are empty, to prove that they can mobilize and get things done and network out with other disaster relief agencies and get put on the map, because it's just been chartered this as a charity. I don't know how you can donate to it yet, but I wanted to say calling all pilots, that's what I wanted to do tomorrow and the next day to recruit for this, because if an earthquake should occur or a wildfire like what happened at Almanor, kid you not, this strangest of all coincidences, airports will be the lifeline, because you saw how Highway 70 was cut off with its massive landslide after the wildfire. There are very few ways to actually get up to Lake Almanor from the valley after that, or from any direction. So what are the odds? What are the odds that you're in a Zoom meeting talking about Lake Almanor and the possibility of earthquakes in general cutting off California communities when what happens? It's the first time in like 100 years. 100 years or so in that region. I thought it was a joke. And I get a text message from my dad down by Marysville, and he's like, we just felt an earthquake. Then I contact my aunt. She's down the same general region. Yep, just felt it too. Like, no way. So, weird things happen to me. I was going to showcase Odart. I want to make a different commercial for them. I don't even know that they have a website yet, or at least one that has anything to do. Nope, they don't have a website up yet. In fact, I registered their website for them, so they're in control now. Their treasurer is, who happens to be CPro. But I was like, you guys are going to need a website. You guys are going to need a streamer or something to plug your info. Hey, John. Hey, welcome. And so we quickly went and registered their website even before they thought about it. So it's Oregon. What did I say? I keep forgetting what it is. This is the COVID problem here. Where did I put the paper? Friends, bear with me. Where's the... Okay, it has a checklist of things I wanted to say about it. Where in the name of... seriously? All right. Wait, oh, it's right in front of me in a notebook. Friends, I do have my stuff together. Seriously. Oregon Disaster Airlift Response Team. That's what this is. Now, CalDART is the same thing. California Department or Disaster Airlift Response Team. I keep saying department. Hey, John. John says, hello to you in chat. I just woke up. I felt the quake as I was laying in bed. It was a mild shake here. And you're in El Dorado County, basically. Oh, my God. They felt it in the Bay Area, really gently. My dad felt it near Marysville. Good seeing you. Yeah, good seeing you. C-Probe left a bit ago, but we were here today trying to figure out how we could bring to public awareness the fact that ODART exists. So if you are a pilot, if you have skills in photography, videography, documentary filmmaking, journalism, related fields, if you are an ex-pilot, if you know about logistics, multimedia, tech stuff like computers, connecting people like to Discord, Microsoft Teams, blah, 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 website creation. They're doing an open recruitment right now, and you could be a founding member. I am now one of the founding members because I'm cool. And by extension, you guys are, because we are a wildfire tracking team. So currently right now, their goal is to get other disaster-related agencies to become aware of their existence in the media. I'm going to try to set up C-Probe's plane with as many GoPros as I can tack onto the thing. I think we'll probably just do 2. I tell him to use his iPhone as another thing, but he doesn't want to fry it on the dash again, you know. Sunlight's going to be bad. It's going to be 95 degrees for his exercise on Saturday. Unheard of hellishly hot temperatures for Oregon. And I can't be there to film in the cockpit because the imaginary cargo, the supplies, takes the place of where people sit. So he has a relief pilot next to him. And they're going to fly from the Portland area to Roseburg or something, and Roseburg across the California border in some of the most sketchy mountainous terrain that you will ever lay your eyes on. So, but C-Probe's a very careful pilot and knows what he's doing. He flew me around Tahoe, and that's very treacherous terrain too. So there are 21 different air crews. So on Saturday, I hope to be live, and we'll watch them fly around on it happened again. I'm sorry. I totally forgot to put the rain back on. My headphones shut themselves off to save batteries in the middle of me talking. Dagnabbit. Okay, I was saying, there are 21 crews. They'll be taking off simultaneously as if the disaster just happened, as far as I know, on Saturday. I don't remember when this will begin. I'll have to ask that critical question. But the Zoom meeting was a bit chaotic today due to the interruption by the earthquake thing. There's 39 different airports involved, and all on the same day, dummy packages, meaning empty boxes, will be delivered in lieu of real supplies. And it is a drill. But wow, isn't the timing incredible? It's a good wake-up call when we get these below 6.0 shakers. We live in the ring of fire. Tsunamis, floods, earthquakes, fires. Yeah, aren't we lucky? So, Fox News is going to cover this, and I don't know if that's the national Fox News or the local, which has nothing to do with the national one. The national one's in trouble. Okay, is the rain and my voice at a good equilibrium? Does one need to be turned up over the other? Let me know. I gotta say, guys, it's good to be back. I just want to pause for a second. I was really stressing out trying to set this up. I was trying to go live the very moment that the Zoom meeting ended at 8:30. And for an hour, I messed around with the webcam before discovering, oh, it's just broken. It's broken. Help the webcam fun. It is broken. It doesn't zoom anymore. I just did some digital trick. If anybody would like me to get like an actually pro webcam, there's a little button that has a $sign on it, and your $1 today can really make a difference. Thank you. Yeah, Vanessa, local Fox stations can be extraordinarily good. The one in Portland is great. I used to do commercials for them, like as an extra, and they never really showed my face, just the back of my blonde head. But I got extra credit for that in acting classes. It's good volume? Okay, great. Tell me, how have you guys been? How have you guys been? I'm like sitting here happy to be alive, you know, but exhausted and overstressed. I have like 3 years of taxes that are due that I've got to really take care of. I'm at least 6 to 7 months behind in everything. I am currently right now prepared for things that would have occurred in October. Because it was like my life just paused in October. I don't remember a whole lot of being in bed. I watched the entire Sopranos in bed in an iPad. I remember my caregivers, like my mom, and people coming and going and doing my laundry. And I remember waking up after the surgery, which was a screaming agony. The more than a month it took me to get over that. They just didn't do pain medication very well. Being totally nauseous in general. But it's like late April, I just suddenly went blink, blink. Oh man, how long was I out? You know? Well, thank you, Strange Reverend, for that little link there. I should totally put that in the description. I always forget. Oh, yeah, I can definitely show you where we saw the fireworks. We, on the 4th of July parade, which I could still show you guys, and I actually teased you with some personal photos. I could show you the gin mill, which is Seneca, the ghost town, before it burned down. It was an 1888 gold rush era. I would call it speakeasy. It's not like alcohol had been illegal yet, but it was like a tiny tavern bar thing. Like more like a cabin with a bar in it. Never had electricity. Incredible place, and damned if PG&E didn't burn it down in the Dixie Fire. Man, I hate these headphones. Guess what these headphones have been doing? John Stoker is my sound man. They're like $500 retail. I didn't pay that much, but unless I have this rain sound, like something coming in through the ear cups, even though I'm talking, it turns itself off due to battery, battery saving. So where we watch the fireworks, where everybody does, is Lake Almanor West is this. This is where all the housing is. I did not take you there, but there is a road. When you turn off here, you trace this down. Actually, no, Pole Line Road is here. Let me go into street view. Pole Line Road. There, yeah. Almanor Drive West to Pole Line Road, and then where it meets Almanor Drive West at the shore is a not secret, driveway that used to go to an ancient marina, which is gone. Now, these two jetties protected the marina in here, defunct. Let's see if I remember right. The new marina is adjacent down this way, and it's got the steak restaurant and black tie kind of a thing. It used to be a black tie restaurant, and all the posh people that lived on the peninsula, the wealthy, would come over on their boat. If you arrived by boat, it was like, "This way, sir." And if you were one of the scrubs that walked in like we did in our flip-flops, it's like, "I'm afraid we have no tables for you." And you'd be like, "Our money's no good here." So when we went down to park, it was right there. Now they have an amazing world-class fireworks show. They used to fire it off from Westwood or off the peninsula or something, and people take thousands of boats there every 4th of July, and then they tie them together and get massively drunk in one riotous, booze festival. People of all ages and stuff. People have sometimes rafts, but most people are in their boats because it's after dark. And then people are waiting for sunset, and then this massive fireworks show that used to be even bigger. I think since they developed the peninsula and it now has housing on it, they used to have a barge around here that they would fire them off, but I think it might have been shore during 4th of July. I was just settling in. I had driven all the way from the Portland area to Lake Almanor. I think I left at 3 in the morning, or midnight or something, and arrived at 7 in the morning. And then we did the 4th of July parade, which unfortunately I couldn't stream live because everybody and their mom was trying to stream live at the same time. And I've got regular video. I still want to show you guys that. So after the parade, we went back to Janesville and passed out for a couple hours. I was still trying to work out technical difficulties with my laptop. We were just praying that there wouldn't be any fires, that I could stay a week at least and film the Dixie Fire, and then go to places like Seneca, Lucky S, Chester, and all the places affected, Westwood, Janesville, Susanville, and fly over it with an airplane, do an aerial damage movie for the Dixie Fire documentary I would make. I had people to meet and interview, but record scratch, just as we started watching the fireworks, me, C-Probe, John Stoker, and Sister Goldenhair, that's when all of our phones buzzed at the same time in our pockets, and it was Watch Duty, the app that everybody needs to have, saying that there's a new fire, and it was over by John's house. The Electra fire, and that trapped people on a dam. The boaters and such had nowhere to go, and they took refuge inside of a dam on the, what river is that? That one with the Electra fire. I was so proud of myself. It's not the Consume This, it's the one that starts with an M, right? I now know how to say Consume This river. Oh, Alleyman 420 left your name. You're in Reading and you didn't feel it? Wow. You could have from that distance. You may have more of a solid rock kind of thing beneath you. A trip is that it's not so much the type of building that you have in that's safe during a quake. It's what did you build it on? Did you build on sand, loose soil, broken ground, or hard rock? And even biblical times wisdom is build not upon the sand, right? An earthquake's going to shake it down. So the people on Nob Hill in San Francisco in the 1906 quake, you know, the 7 or 8 pointer that was, slept right through it because they were on Nob Hill, which is a giant rocky outcrop, whereas the people, even in wooden buildings, down at the Barbary Coast, at the shoreline of San Francisco, which was kind of like infill, sank into the ground and had their buildings collapse and a massive loss of life. Like the Valencia Hotel, for example, collapsed when all the other houses next to it stayed up, and that's because it was built off of on top of an old creek. So it was a 3-story with a basement wooden hotel, but that was the greatest loss of life. It's not brick buildings, and brick buildings are inherently unsafe. If you build on a rock, they're fine. Most of the brick buildings in San Francisco were dynamited to build a fire break when the water mains broke, and that was a really stupid decision. So yeah, Strange River. You didn't feel anything in Modesto. My family felt it in Marysville. There was very faint trembling over towards Napa, but they said in their studio KCRA got shaken up. So I can't show too many copyrighted things. This is the normal way that the map looks, which like shows you nothing. You zoom out and there's latest quakes and stuff. What's this by Seattle? A 2.6. Okay, nothing to be worried about. Crescent City? Ferndale, 2.5. Okay, I've got it narrowed down to just showing the quakes in the map. And the funny thing is the ghost town of Prattville is underneath the water right about here. If I turn on terrain, yeah, either right here or right here. It might be right here, actually. When they flooded Big Meadows to make the dam, Prattville's cemetery and a couple of the buildings were moved. And I was a little kid growing up in this area, and so my dad took the boat out on the aforementioned, no longer there, defunct marina, and we got a fish finder, one of the early, for civilian use, fish radar, or sonar, excuse me. And he said that, I want to go look over here, and I said, what are you looking for? And he goes, the town. And apparently in the 1960s, you could still look down and see tin roofs of some of the brick buildings and maybe even wooden structures still up of the Gold Rush era town of Prattville. And they just sort of flooded it. Not all the buildings are moved. So sure enough, when we went over there with the fish finder, there were these weird up and down, kind of like Tetris, like you look at a city skyline and there's some things going up and down. We took that to be foundations because they weren't the same as seeing boulders underwater. It looked like building foundations, best we could tell. So, yeah, good night, Brandon. Sorry whenever you said that. Let me turn on timestamps for chat. Rick Hoppy says, I spent a week in the hospital once, was very grateful for my iPad, which kept me sane. Yeah. I really don't remember too much about being sick. I'm sure my traumatized brain erased some of it, but I watched all The Sopranos, and I can't believe how it ended. Like, really? What? I thought it was a glitch. If you haven't seen The Sopranos, it's good, but I can't stand the man's family. Vanessa says, Not doing terrible. I started watching you during the Caldor fire in the middle of 4 back surgeries before I had fusion. Oh no. And now it's going okay. I'm so glad to hear that. Let's look back up. Did I miss anybody in chat? Cheryl says the Haida Nation Recognition Act that passed in BC legislature will recognize the Council of the Haida Nation as the government of the Haida under provincial law. Tell Smitty when you see him. I will attempt to tell him what I just read. I'll tell him to talk to you about that. But that sounds great. Autonomy. And let's see, still scrolling up. Did I miss anybody? Yeah, Vanessa says the quest for perfect headphones is similar to the quest for perfect cat litter. The best you can do is less terrible. You know what, Vanessa? I can tell you one thing you're gonna love. Oh, and hey, SB Kathy, I didn't see you there. My bad. 40 minutes ago. Shoot. Let's see here. So I went to Russia. You want to hear another weird story? It's another story, but it was a long time ago. I went to Russia. And they train cat in Russia like we train dogs. They kind of scratch their head like, what do you mean you don't believe you can train cat? You really can. If you look on YouTube, you'll see cats jumping through little hoops, like for exercise in apartments. You know, you hold up a hoop and the house cat goes, wait. You just have to know how to train a cat. What makes them want to participate in training is different than the motivation of a dog. So, one of the worst, most bizarre things is when I had my total jet lag and confusion and Dramamine and basically being high / drunk. I stumbled into the bathroom and I thought I was just hallucinating. I blinked. I turned off the light. Like, did I just see that? I turned it back on. The cat, the household cat, was crouched over the toilet and taking a dump. I even said, excuse me, and like shut the door behind me and leaned up at my back against it, and I was like, wait a minute. Sure enough, it wasn't a hallucination. The cat was crouching over the toilet taking a dump. And then once finished with his business, the cat just sort of walked off. Like they did not know how to flush. But I said, the next morning at breakfast, you know, and they were just tickled that I was confused by this. They said it's very easy to train a cat to use the toilet. They have no idea why Americans buy kitty litter or why we have to clean up after their mess, you know. All you have to do is you take like a little pan, like a baking pan sort of thing, you put it underneath the seat, and you put the kitty litter, like a little bit of sand and kitty litter, on it, so that the cat has nowhere else to go, and it's used to going up to the toilet. And then once the cat gets used to that, just simply remove the pan, and they'll still crouch over the same hole, and there you go. They will do their business, both kinds of business, that way in the toilet. So, yeah. I almost wanted to take a picture of it, but God, why? You know, like I would feel like a weirdo. Like, I took a picture of a cat who was in the toilet last night, because that'd be as weird as being a guest in somebody's house, being super interested in the cat using the litter box. You just don't do that. You can imagine what that looked like. Rick Hoppy says, I saw a video of a cat being trained to use a human toilet. There you go. There you go. Yeah. Right, exactly, Vanessa. Start young. You know, start from the get-go. Just never put anything on the ground for a cat to do their business on. Otherwise, the cat will think that's normal. Always make them get up on a height. so they're used to that. Kind of keeps them fit too. What else we have to talk about? Open question and answer time. It seems to have been a deep earthquake. Recapping, because people felt it as far away as Sacramento and Reno. Reno, I hear, caused a little bit of a trampling panic. People rushed for exits and such. Reno's a bit closer. You can zoom out and see Reno. It's not that far away. Right here. Here's Reno. Actually, it's a little bit shorter than I thought, but it's a quick drive from Susanville, I guess. Because you can go pretty fast on that road, and it's really flat. So here is the area where my family lives, basically south of Oroville. And they felt it pretty strongly down there. Even though the video was like minor swaying from Yuba City, I'm sure by the time they got their cell phones out, the big shake had been kind of over with already. I'm waiting for like Ring video, doorbell cameras and stuff, footage to come out. That would be really cool. Is this the end? It may not be. We don't know if this is straight up tectonic or volcanic in nature, or the third type of earthquake. I mean, there's actually about 5 different types. One of which is build a tall building that's heavy enough and it will cause minor. They call them earthquakes, but it's not really an earthquake. It's not from the earth. It's putting enough pressure on ground, and they try to build like the world's tallest skyscrapers in various locations, especially Asia, where they got kind of mushy, wet ground, and they cause minor earthquakes that way. I think there should be a clear definition that's totally different for each of these phenomenons, so the public's not confused, but what do I know? Fracking can cause earthquakes, but are they true earthquakes, or are they ground settling after you broke it open for fracking? It's like fracking is almost like a type of mining. You got fault line ruptures from the tectonic plates, most common kind, and then you have your volcanic quake, which is magma rising to the surface or settling, or steam. If cold groundwater, which all water is cold underground unless it's heated by magma or something, meets magma, steam expands, and that will cause a fracturing of rock, and in a pretty violent manner, and that's an earthquake. But at this point in time, it's after midnight, and I'm way too tired to remember the different various types. You know, I had a goal that this would be an hour stream, but I never meet that goal. Goodness, this is not to be that person, but I was living in Seoul when the Tohoku earthquake hit Fukushima. Oh God, and we had been joking about a 5.8 earlier that week being a precursor. That's what I'm saying. I repeat that there is no such thing as an earthquake. Each one of these things that happened on this scrolly list here is its own event. So just because it started out with a large one here, and mind you, anything 2.5 or lower is not listed. I mean, there could be some that happened. Oh, is there a button that says faults? Faults and plate boundaries? Oh, I just noticed the button, guys. Just because it started out with a big one, the earthquake is just the biggest one in a series. When a fault ruptures or ground settles, there will be some little ones, a big one, and little ones. And so the biggest one is called the earthquake. Foreshocks are what the others are called before it. Aftershocks are what the others after it are called. But there have been plenty of instances, especially deadly ones, like in Italy, for example, where I had some people I know there get caught up in it. They lived, but their town got obliterated in northern Italy, kind of by Venice, a decade ago, where the big one appeared to have happened first with a bunch of smaller aftershocks, and the officials declared, oh yeah, that was it. Return to your homes, everything's safe now. Nobody can ever tell you that. It may be that nothing happens now for another 100 years, or it may be that something bigger strikes tomorrow, or a week from now, or 2 weeks from now. And this 5.2 or 5.5 was just a foreshock of a much larger one. I don't know what this fault is capable of, but there's a dang volcano next door. Let's see, ocean terrain. That is the very active, bubbling, steaming, smoking Lassen volcano, Mount Lassen. It exploded in World War I, and it did the side blowout thing that Mount St. Helens did before it was cool. Like, it was a hipster volcano. It was blowing the side off way before it was cool. So, I'll tell you what, Vanessa, I've got a different weird things happen to me story where I have a superstitious awe of things sometimes, where just so many extremely bizarre things happen that are quite coincidental that I just kind of go, oh, okay. In May of 2019, I was sitting in the Yuba City's Mongolian barbecue and talking to one of my aunts. Love that restaurant, go to it. And I said, you know, I just had this weird feeling that California was going to have an earthquake. And my aunt goes, oh, no, don't say that. And I said, isn't that weird? I've been having dreams. And she goes, what kind of earthquake? And I said, something above a 6. East of here, probably south or something, but above a 6, but not particularly damaging. It just feels like we're due for one. And I've been having dreams about it. And she goes, uh-huh. And then I returned to Oregon, and very soon afterwards there was a 6.0 something earthquake. It was in a bit of the wilderness. Actually, I'm not sure exactly how many weeks went by. So as I kind of got to a weird chill about that, I went to a different Mongolian grill in the Portland area. I love that food. So my buddy James was sitting down with me at the restaurant. And because I was at another Mongolian grill, I thought about the earthquake again. And my cousin Sarah, she has a really skeptical, like, super analytical husband now. And we were in a debate about, like, mysticism versus science sort of thing. And I said, I know you're not going to believe me, but I've had dreams about the future. There's no rhyme or reason. I'm not some sort of a saint, you know. I'm not like a mystic. I'm pretty down to earth and sure enough believe in science and everything. But I really do believe we don't understand everything. There's mysteries out there, and I'm spiritual too. I don't know why, but I sometimes dream about the future. And he goes, uh-huh. I said, weird things happen to me, like extraordinarily weird things. Sometimes it saved my life, like extraordinarily weird coincidental things will happen, such as a bird will pretend to have a broken wing in front of me. I'll get out of my car to help the bird, and then there's a massive collision in the intersection I was about to be in. I would have been crushed and killed. And then the bird flies away, like it didn't have a broken wing. So you have enough of this weird stuff happen to you, it just started making me wonder, you know. So he rolled his eyes, and I said, I will prove it to you one day. There will be something extraordinarily weird. So I get on my phone, I start texting. I said, hey, Sarah, and, you know, her husband's name. Remember how I told you that weird things happen to me? Well, I said to my aunt that there would be a California earthquake, and one happened. So I hit send. And my friend who was with me at that Mongolian Grill back in Oregon now, I told him, look, I have a bad feeling it's going to happen again. I have a bad feeling that that was just a foreshock. Just like what happened in Italy, in that people being lulled into a false sense of everything's, it's been a few weeks, nothing's going to happen, or it's been a few days, how much time elapsed. What if that was just a foreshock? And my friend, my buddy goes, yeah, could be. But he was totally uninterested in the subject. Like, he wanted to talk about superhero movies or something. So he goes, excuse me, I got to use the bathroom. And I say, okay. So literally, I pick up the phone again. I said, I have a feeling that another one will happen, that was just a foreshock. And I typed it. I realized it's a bit late. Should I send this message? Are they asleep? Are they thinking I'm a crazy person? I mean, who sends a text? And I just realized it was like 10:30 at night. Or 10 o'clock. Do they still have that job where they have to wake up early in the morning? And I did not send it. And if I had sent it, I would look like a dang psychic. Because lo and behold, my phone jingles. As I was talking about the earthquake in the restaurant, it happened. And it was true. The first one was a foreshock. Yeah. So I then wrote this like totally crazy text, like, oh my god, yeah, I was totally just talking about the blah, oh my god. You know? This is just one of many stories I got. And I think I screenshotted it at the time. You might even be able to look up what Quake this was. And I have a witness for both of these things. 2 people with me each time at the Mongolian Grill. So yeah, why do I have dreams about the future and weird feelings like this? They have no benefit to anybody. Like, I can't tell you where it's going to happen. I just get a weird ominous feeling and have a nightmare about an earthquake. That's that. How does that benefit anybody? Like, I'm kind of mad about that. Like, give me a superpower where I can, like, change stuff. Give me a superpower where I have X-ray vision and I can see all of PG&E's failing power lines and tell them to go fix it. You know, it's interesting, but whatever. So Rick Hoppy says, Vanessa, right, the main thing is about training cats is to make them think it's their idea and not yours. That's savvy. Dude, you know cats, man. You know cats. My nickname is Cat, by the way. So, you know, feel free to stroke my fur with, you know, flattery. I enjoy that. I'm like a cat in that way. Okay. Let's look up that earthquake from my weird story. SV Kathy, oh hey there. Next time I eat a Mongolian Grill, I'm bringing my go bag. Yes. Okay, I just had a nightmare about the levees breaking in Marysville 2 days ago. I am so worried about the snowpack right now. My first memory as a child is to this horrible sound. Let's see if I can get up the sound effect. It's the emergency alert thing on TV. The broadcast system. See if I can cue it up. Oh wow, there's like a playlist of the different ones from different eras. Really? Let me, I just want a sound effect, the basic one from California.
only a test.
It's a very similar sound. I don't know. I do remember that one, but it was a little different. So the one that's scary from like the 90s, that's that one. It may be the current one.
This is a test. This station is conducting a test of the emergency broadcast system. This is a test.
No, that's not the scary one. Creepy?
This is a test. This station is conducting a test of the emergency broadcast system. This is only a test.
Okay, I apologize to anybody trying to go to sleep to my soothing voice. All right. I was just trying to do like a single quick sound effect. That's a traumatizing sound. What are the ones from a closer era that make sense? I was in the flood of 97, 96, 97, because they always go from one year to the other, because they usually tend to span December to January. SB Kathy says the Oroville levee break was intense. How sturdy are they now? That was the spillway. That was a double spillway collapse. The first one was eroding itself because it wasn't built on bedrock. Oh my God. Who the hell doesn't build a spillway to bedrock? That means if you have a leak below, it'll erode the hillside and collapse the entire thing. Yeah. Let's see, do we have emergency alert broadcast system like the current one? It terrified me as a kid. My first living memory is uncontrolled releases from Folsom Dam, Oroville Dam, Lake Almanor Dam, you know, with that robot voice, will result in possible, if not probable, levee breaches downstream. And the following county are ordered to evacuate. Oh my God, I'm a big owl. Big Al, how are you doing? You know, it's holding, to answer the question, SB Kathy. It's holding. They got to test out the Oroville Spillway, and, you know, it's a beautiful, beautiful recent video of it opening. It's always something that people go to watch. So let's do the 2023, just a couple months ago, in March. So ODOT itself, the Department of Water Resources released this, and since it's a work of the United States government, it's copyright free. So check this out. I'm going to turn off the music though, because that could have a copyright. But wait a second, is this in high def? 1080? Okay. Look at this beauty, and you get a little bit of the sense of scale. Now, it's not quite the way that I remember it. The best vantage point to watch it is across the, directly across from it in the canyon. Oroville is up on high ground. It's never had to worry about floods. Downstream has to worry about floods. So this is the thing. You can see all this bare rock that was never visible before. It washed away most of that mountainside, and they had to rebuild it at a cost of billions. This all could have been prevented, by the way. An environmental group. And you get the scale here. You know, you pause it, and you realize that there's tiny cars and stuff in view, and you could just imagine like 4 different semi-trucks could go inside of each of these little doorways. These are giant gates. So all the different gates are open at once. And you see the scale when you see vehicles, like tiny cars over here. Now, it used to have a thing, like whenever we took a picnic up at the top of the spillway, it used to have this ramp at the bottom, like a slide, you know, like a swoop, like the Nike swoosh, you know what I mean? At the bottom, so the water used to go up and then cascade down. Yeah. There's now some other things about rebuilding the $1 billion spillway. And like I said, this could have been prevented because an environmental group found out that it wasn't built on bedrock and surmised that if there ever was like a big flood situation again, and if any little crack let in water through the concrete down there, it would start eroding. And once it eroded, then eventually the concrete would buckle. And then a huge amount of water would pour into the crack, and it would erode all the way up to the top, to the gates. And then once it reached the gates, since there would be nothing there to hold up from underneath, the entire gates would collapse, like sink. So in order to prevent the gates from collapsing, they would definitely need to close it, you know, keeping it open and letting some of the water out of the dam, because the dam was filling up with all the rainwater behind it and all the snow melt, massive amounts of it, that they could keep open the spillways a little bit, buy themselves some time to make sure the secondary spillway, the emergency spillway, was gonna hold. So at first they just completely shut off the big one, the big main one. Now what the secondary spillway was actually just a wall, just straight up concrete wall next to the road. Let me get to a map here. It's right there. Oh boy, they had to. That white patch right there, that's supposed to be normal looking hillside like this, you know. This is the dam, by the way, this giant structure. It's the largest earthen dam in the world. Made out of a bunch of boulders and dirt, that's it. This thing here used to have a road, because you can drive across the dam, have a park, have a picnic at the spillway park. Here was a park with a bunch of trees, rest in peace. They went, you know, down the hillside. And this was just a wall, like a seawall. The idea, which is brilliant and common sense engineering, is the dam is the highest point. This is not a straight line. The dam is higher than this is over here. So imagine a bathtub that's going to overflow, but you had like cut a chunk out of it. It can never overflow all the way to the top anymore because it's going to be spilling out of the chunk that's lower. You cannot allow water to spill over an earthen dam. I mean, you can get away with it a little bit with a concrete one, but if it goes over an earthen dam, it's going to erode it and collapse the entire dam, and that would probably erase San Francisco and erase Sacramento and devastate even Bay Area towns. Like, I can't tell you how much water that would be. That would kill like millions, potentially, just because people wouldn't be able to evacuate in time. So thank goodness the original designers had a brilliant plan. You know, it was in the construction, everything went wrong. They didn't follow the plan. But the dam is indeed higher than anything else. The spillway is lower, but it has a series of doors. And then this place is even lower to the left side, so that if the doors got jammed, or God forbid terror, you know, accident, what have you, if these were ever unable to open, then the water would simply cascade over the seawall, which is just like a concrete wall, and it would just basically go down the side of the hill and erode it to death, but it would be better than collapsing anything, correct? So the crisis unfolded when they realized that the seawall was going to collapse along this entire length, like this huge area. And even though it wasn't that tall, like I don't remember it being more like 10, 12 feet or something like that. maybe even 6. But if all of that collapsed at once, the amount of water that would be held back along that entire length would be enormous. The levees downstream would not hold, and it would breach. And it's just a matter of where, and probably multiple wheres. So if you see that the dam, here's the giant lake, here's the dam, right there. Or if it was on high ground, it would be fine. Nothing below it would be fine. Gridley, Biggs, Thermalito Afterbay area, Palermo, Honcut, all these ranches and orchards out here. The wildlife refuge would be obliterated. People that scrambled up on the Sutter Buttes would be okay, but Live Oak, Marysville, Yuba City, Olivehurst, Linda, Sutter itself would be questionably okay. I think that was something that was high enough. But keep following it downstream. You go down to, Woodland, Sacramento. All this would be really messed up. The levees would break somewhere. The entire length of the river is levees. Not just in certain places, it's the entire length. So the only thing that keeps the rivers within its banks during the wet season, winter, and the spring thaw, is mounds of dirt. Bunch of levees. Beale Air Force Base is on high enough ground. That's a place for people to evacuate to. But my very first childhood memory was uncontrolled releases from the various dams. Folsom is right here, protects Sacramento. I hear it doesn't even really generate any electricity or anything. That's not what it's for. If it does at all, it's very little. It's just to protect Sacramento from being wiped off. There's the earth. Hey, Shaz, welcome back. Hey, no worries, 41 South. This area over here, the different river and everything, the American River, has got some little flood control things called weirs, kind of directs floods to floodplain, kind of give the levees a break. But the entire way, protected by levee. And then there's a bunch of canals that take water down to Southern California where those bastards use it without giving us any compensation. Kidding. That's why a lot of the Northerners want to secede from the South, though, like sever ties, because, screw your golf courses in LA. LA is not supposed to have golf courses and green lawns. It's a desert, deal with it. Conserve and stop using our water. But a series of canals takes it from up there down to the south. Now there's talk about, should we make more extensive canals and aqueduct systems? Yes. The answer is yes. The civilizations that control water, move it from where it's excess to where it's needed, are the ones that survive. The civilizations that fail in their hydro engineering do not survive. The Inca and such had a marvelous irrigation system. And they had this problem where there was too much water in the mountains and not enough in the arable land, and so they had aqueducts and such, and where they wanted to put port communities and those such of things. And they were in aqueducts, and they had massive earthquakes, and they broke. So you had mass city abandonment, blah, blah, blah. So it's not an option. It's either we're going to figure out how to solve our flooding issues and our drought issues, or we're not going to survive as a civilization. We have to have mass migration. So, yeah, you're right, Strange Reverend, extremely devastating. So I'm curious right now, switching back to the earthquake. I've got this little button that has fault lines, and I've never seen a bunch of these little faults before. These are fascinating. I'm pretty miffed, though, that when we zoom in, they disappear. So, they're only available at this zoom out level, but we go deeper and they're gone. What? I'm curious in history, how long ago was the last 5.0 quake in Lake Almanor? So let's see, history of quakes in Plymouth County, California. Somebody's going to have a website on this stuff. Oh, there's more news things that hit the 11 o'clock news 2 hours ago that we could check out on KCRA. Shows a little bit of the mess. Homefacts.com. I'm not sure how much I trust this one, but I'll drag it over for giggles. Earthquake info for Plymouth County, California. Very high. Well, that would not have surprised me because I grew up looking at the volcano. Always afraid that it would like blow up at any moment because, you know, kids are afraid like that. But also knowing that volcanoes generate these things. Anywhere you have volcanoes, oftentimes there's a series of little faults because, like I said, faults are just damaged earth, like cracks in the crust. So if there's enough power from below to shoot up magma, there's enough power from below to break the crust too. And even if a volcano is restless, it can affect, one of its quakes can affect weak rock somewhere nearby to create a fault. But we're talking eons ago, you know. So it says, total number of earthquakes in Plymouth County since 1931. It's not telling us the scale. It's not telling us, it has to be rolling out like little one-pointers, you know? I'm gonna guess that can't just be total. I don't know when Mount Lassen settled down. The eruption, and I should show you some eruption photos, which are pretty dang amazing. It erupted and blew its side off in like 1918, if I remember right. There's a little museum called the B.F. Loomis. Not B.F. Loomis. Is it B.F. Loomis? Here's the Loomis Museum. A guy with a camera, like a regular dude, at great risk, took his Model T or whatever that car was and drove up to Mineral and closer to the mountain and got pictures of it exploding in phreatic eruptions like before the big one. Jeremy Eater, hello, how you been? I was heading back from Susanville and got the alert. Surprised the heck out of me. Didn't kill it though. Woo, where were you on the road when it happened? Not too far from Mount Lassen? Dude. That's the strange thing, is if you're on solid rock, like near the mountain, you don't feel quake. People slept through the great 1906 quake of San Francisco if they had their house on Nob Hill, because that was a big rocky hill. So, most recent. Oh, I wonder if this map just updated today. I've never heard of anything like this happen in my lifetime. I've not heard of my grandma talking about anything, and she came to California in the 30s in the Grapes of Wrath thing. The Dust Bowl. So it says probability of earthquakes within the next 50 years from magnitudes between 5 and 9. What do you mean 5 and 9? What do you mean 9? What? The possibility of a 5 is 100%. Well, yeah, we got that one today. Check off that list. Achievement unlocked, if this is an earthquake video game. The percentage chance for like a 6.6 is a probability of 16%. Percentage chance for a 7.0, 4.6%. A 7.5 is 0.43%. At 8, 8.5, or 9, a 0 for a 9, and 0 for an 8. But 7.0 is going to be pretty dang bad. So, wow. 0 earthquakes from 1931 all the way to 2011. View the number of earthquake incidents in Plumas County. Oh, higher than magnitude 2.5. So in 2013, there were 1,297. This is throughout the entire county, so this could have been when Lassen burped. I remember, Lassen the volcano burping, and there was a little bit of speculative chatter about its possible re-eruption. It has never become dormant since it blew its side off. It's still active, boiling mud, steamy sulfur cloud stuff. There's little streams with little signs that say, please don't drink from the stream because it's acid. Thank you very much. Sulfuric acid. The dead vegetation all around it might give you a clue. It has some astonishingly beautiful little blue lakes because there's calcium in the water. So let's see, the next, there's 355 earthquakes in 2014, larger than 2.2. And by 2015, there were 88. 2018, there were 83. In 2020, there were 31. In 2021, there were 69. I don't think any of these could have been felt, really. But looking at today, there was 2.5 in April on the 24th this year. April 30th, another 2.5. I remember my phone buzzing me about that, and I just went, that's nothing. But then a 3.0, well, I'm saying today, it's after midnight. Yesterday, the 11th. There was a 3.0. See what I was saying earlier about foreshocks? A 3.0, a 2.3, 2.8, 2.9, 2.5, 2.5, 2.1. This is all yesterday. 2.5, 2.8, 2.3, 2.8, 2.6, 2.3, 2.6. Then boom, the 5.5. So prior to the 5.5, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, approximately 16 smaller quakes. Higher than 2.5. I'm sure there's a bunch of 1-pointers. So, wow. Jeremy Eater says, not too far from Mount Lassen, 395 on Jamesville. I just moved from the Bay. I was in the Loma Prieta. Oh, God. I'm sorry, you're probably having Vietnam flashbacks right now. That was a serious one. Oh, man. If you ever watch the YouTube videos of the live Loma Prieta coverage, the uncut stuff is just horrifying. So, I shall show you now some images of Mount Lassen erupting. And maybe a few of my pictures there. Now this guy is an amazing, citizen journalist. And I don't think his work was fully appreciated. It was some of the best photography in the early infancy days of volcanology. I was reading a whole bunch of reports from right when it started. There's this incredible story about, it was never particularly pointy like Mount Fuji, but it's definitely more pointy than it is today. It's half exploded today. Let's see. It has a weird shape if you look at it from the south. Oh, here's the wiki. Let's show you the wiki first. It looks like that. You can see a devastated area. Just like Mount St. Helens. You show this and tell people it's Mount St. Helens, and they oftentimes believe you. Because it looks so similar. But then a lot of people will wonder what that little nipple there is doing at the top. And Mount St. Helens doesn't have that. It has a nice flat circular horseshoe-shaped crater with a lava dome in the middle. SB Kathy says, I was in Cupertino when the 89 quake hit. Incredible strength. Yeah. I know people who died in it. just messed up. I don't want to get too dark on that topic. So there was a ranch down here, and it just obliterated that ranch. They evacuated before, thank God, you know, the big blowout. And the before and after pictures are just insane. Yeah, dacitic volcanic rock. So dacite lava is its type of lava. Andesite is another one that it has. So like chaos crags and Manzanita Lake. This is the other side of it. I think it's the north side there. Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt was hanging out. Yeah, here's, oh shoot, that's not very big. Let me try to make that bigger. Here's that ranch they were building on the south side, and you can kind of see before. And then they have the after devastation picture. What? Here's after. Oh, yeah, after. That's Hot Rock. The ranch is obliterated. They did have a house or something there. And they had just finished all that split rail fencing and all that. Yeah, 1915 BFL is BF Loomis, the photographer. Now this is a glass plate negative, I think. It may have been film, but I don't think so. I don't know that film really existed yet. It kind of makes an appearance around World War I, so I could be wrong. But back then you had those giant box cameras. You threw the sheet over your head because you couldn't allow light, you know, to hit the film. But you had to look through it to see the lens. It wasn't a series of mirrors that, you know, today we take it for granted. If you take a film camera and put it up to your face, a mirror keeps light from your little, you know, thing you're looking through from touching the film and exposing it. You technically got the little tunnel with reflective mirrors to look through. But back then there was just one, so you threw the sheet over your head, did a long exposure for the most part. Unless it was an extremely sunny day, everything was all blurry, didn't move. And you did get a little bit of blur here, but you could see this. Because it's daytime, it would have been a salt and pepper, white and a gray kind of eruption. That's a phreatic right there. It would have been solid black if it was ash. So a phreatic is a steam eruption, so it'll be mostly steam, which is the white, but it'll be salt and pepper because of the ash. Now this thing right now there is my favorite rock in the world, called Hot Rock. I've been to it. Unfortunately, tourists chip away little pieces of it. But don't do that, please, or we're going to lose Hot Rock forever. It's a giant boulder, a car-sized boulder like a minivan, and it was ejected from the throat of the volcano and landed this far away from it. And it took more than a week to cool down. I think maybe even a full month for it to stop registering heat to the touch. Maybe that's why it's called Hot Rock. So Jerry Eater says LP was crazy, fell down the Loma Prieta quake, fell down my stairs, but no injuries. Oh man, that must have been bad. I was watching the World Series baseball game, and they said, we're having an earthquake. Yeah, that's when the feed cut. I didn't feel so. I headed for the kitchen and felt it and got pushed downstairs. I had a classmate, and she was telling me all about how her aunt died in the quake on the bridge. There's a car that drove right off the bridge. I don't think your aunt was in that one. It was in the Bay Bridge collapse, or the was it the Embarcadero or the other highway? Not Embarcadero. Cypress. There's a double-decker freeway, and it collapsed and just crushed dozens and dozens of cars. So the pancaking is unreal. I don't want to get too much into that horror story, but the damn news helicopter kept flying around it and showing her own aunt's car that she recognized. I can only imagine. Anyway, back to Lassen and Hot Rock. Yeah, the Cypress structure, yeah. The sad thing is that either Japan had its own earthquake and those exact same structure failed the same way. It's what they call now punching shear, I think, or concrete structural collapse, where the columns punch through like the thing they're supposed to support, like so. And so the two floors pancake. So the whole thing was torn down. You can't earthquake-proof something like that. The Bay Bridge is still double-decker, and so I'm terrified going over it every time. I'm terrified of Portland's double-decker freeways and bridges. I would not want to be on one during that. But Quake, either Japan had it first or we did. But the very similar structure in the other country collapsed when they could have just learned lessons from the first one and saved so many lives with the second one. The Kobe quake was another one. Big Al says there was a 5.8 quake, 5.8 in Virginia in 2011 that I felt in Maryland. Almost ran out of my townhouse in my underwear. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. I read chat out loud because most people are just listening. And also sometimes YouTube doesn't save chat. So if I just sit there and say, oh yeah, oh yeah, nobody will have any idea what I'm talking about. Yeah. So back to Matt Lassen. This guy, B.F. Loomis, would go straight up to the peak and just film this close. And he got some of the world's first live eruption photographs in a series because he went there day after day, week after week. He was just a regular citizen in the area. He was not a journalist. Back in the day, though, he must have had some wealth because he had a convertible car that was from like the Model T era. And having a camera, well, back then cameras were so expensive, you could basically choose between a one-bedroom house and a camera. Let alone the cost of buying the glass negatives. You had to make your own film, basically. It's not film, it's a glass negative. It's a sheet of glass. It takes extremely high-resolution images, though. This is a low-resolution image because it's damaged. This is a print, probably from the negative, but it's damaged. You can see the dust and scratches, right? Way more evolved, thank God, than the tintypes from like Civil War and stuff. Because it's a piece of glass, and then you would take a paintbrush and mix all these toxic chemicals, silver solution, and you would paint that thing of glass. I think they're about the size of an average small cell phone screen. Can't remember. And boy, God, you can't break the thing. You know, you got to treat it like an egg and transport it all the way up from San Francisco, or wherever it came from. Go up into the mountains and shoot, and somehow transport it, you know, back down to civilization so you can make prints off of it without breaking it. So the early pioneers who did this, like Watkins, who did this before in the late 1800s and went all over the West, and he did stereo views, 3D images. These people, we have to appreciate how dang difficult that was. Yeah, there's the full screen again. You can tell that it's damaged because you look down here and you can't read this stuff anymore. This is like where somebody peeled tape off of it or something. But you've got all kinds of scratches all over this. It's maybe a print, paper, which is never going to be as high def as the negative. And then somebody didn't have it under glass, like it got scratched up. So, hey, Siri, ionification, how are you? Long time no see, and yes, I felt it and heard it. Very noisy. Noisy like a train crash. That's what people are describing. It was a bang, and people thought Mount Lassen was erupting. Isn't that scary? It was like a bang. I want to know if there were tsunamis on the lake. Yeah, Big Al, I've been through earthquakes too. I've been through more earthquakes in Oregon than anything. And it is like a train coming. I remember waking up one morning in Oregon, and we had a 5.3 or so. I heard a distant rumble, and my bed just vibrated like my cat was on it doing this. You know how they take their hind leg and scratch their chin, and almost violent, you know? I said, meow, meow, stop it. And she doesn't stop it. And I said, meow, meow, stop. And the cat's not on the bed. The cat is cowering in the corner, trying to get out of the room, like the door is shut. I was like, what the? And I could see, like in the beginning opening of Jurassic Park, there was a greenway out my window, and I could see the trees start shaking and swaying closer and closer and closer, as if the invisible Pete's Dragon or the T-Rex was coming, right? And I thought, that's weird. And then the train rumbling sound got worse instead of the vibrating. And then once that came all the way to the house, it was a bang and a lurch. And I jumped out of bed and almost hit the ceiling. Stuff started just pouring off the walls. And since it was a 2-story house built into a hill, you know, the sway was pretty significant. It was just so dang weird seeing your walls kind of become trapezoids instead of square. Threw everything that I owned off of the shelves. I am in Oregon right now. I was thinking of going to California, especially if it's going to flood in the valley to rescue heirlooms and stuff. But no, I'm in Oregon. So that was a long one, a pretty long shaker. I felt really subtle ones where I start getting car sick, just sitting at my keyboard and desk, you know, and I'm like, what? And one of the subtle ones in Oregon was like 5 in the morning. Almost nobody I knew felt it. It was a very, very subtle thing, and I just went, okay, and I kind of went away from my desk, and the keyboard tray just starts sliding in and out. And I started looking around the room at things that were hanging, and I realized my chair with wheels was just sort of rocking me back and forth, and the monitor was just ever so slightly. And I just thought, you know, it's a little bit early for the garbage truck to be out there. I realized it's not garbage day. And what alerted me to the fact that it was a quake was all the birds just went insane outside and left. Sirenification said loud rumble, yeah. Like I'm close to tracks, but there's no train. But squeaking metal and creaking within the rumble and shaking, yeah, that's weird. Big Al says, I'll never forget with the Loma Prieta quake going outside and watching the earth move like fluid. It made me dizzy. Yeah. It's nuts when you see it crack too. That's something that's just messed up. But if you ever get to the Lassen area, there's a very small museum called the B.F. Loomis Museum. Oh, cool. This explains Bumpus Hell, the Boiling Mud Flats area. It's a park, and you can go walk all over this very active volcano. Since it erupted, it hasn't really stopped. It's not dormant. And it's not really erupting so much as it's percolating. I don't know how to say that. There are geologic terms I've forgotten. It's after midnight. But there's rain and snow, mostly snow. I mean, it's a mountaintop that goes on the mountain, and through the cracks, the water goes down and collects. Like, all mountains are full of water, if you didn't know that. And there's these big big cave type things in them, big cavities. And over the eons, they fill all the way to the top with very, very nice water, very high quality since it's been filtered through sand, dirt, gravel, and to pristine, glacier water taste, right? And volcanic water, two best tasting waters on Earth. And then it'll come out to the surface, and that's what a spring is. But Bumpus Hell is, it's heated by the magma underneath, and so it's a mud flat. It's boiling mud, and you gotta hand it to the early pioneers. They're like, you know what? It is called hell for a reason. The guy who got to name it fell into the boiling mud up to his hip and had to have his leg amputated. That's why it's called hell. And people came by and said, this will be the greatest amusement park. I didn't even know that Growler Hot Springs and Morgan Hot Springs existed. I knew about Drake's Bad. But there's a sad component to this. The early people who were trying to get tourism up into these mountain parks, the mountains always struggle for tourists, and it's hard to make a living and hard to survive there. It's hard to keep towns alive. Ever since gold mining stopped in 1941 because of the war effort, the gold mining didn't really resume. They lost in the California mountains. They lost about 85% of their population. 85. And the rest were Indians that died and/or got moved to reservations. Like the skeleton crew of people living in the mountains. All of the towns of the mountains are much smaller than they used to be. And very few exceptions. So this guy who owned private property at the time, I don't know if he made the boardwalk, like the wooden boardwalk across Bumpus Hill, but it's boiling mud flat. And so you could just walk on it. And look over the edge and see a bubble form, like a big giant mud bubble. It gets slowly bigger and then it goes, it makes a cool sucking sound, like a smuck. And then it pops. And then there's another one. It's extremely satisfying to just watch one slowly form, and then it's all around you. And some of them are going fast, like, and it's carbon dioxide and other gases coming out of the ground. It's just constantly leaking carbon dioxide everywhere, so nothing can grow due to the fumes around it. So it's just this mud thing. This guy who owned private property, he put up mud baths, like at the turn of the century, like a resort. He had cabins people could rent. It sounds awesome. He was selling some of the mud for beauty and health products. It actually does have benefit. It's not snake oil, And along comes the government and says, that is so awesome that you have all those private facilities here, but we want to make a national park, state park, national park. It is a national park. Yes, it's a national park. So we're going to confiscate your land and bulldoze everything that you built. History and all. Goodbye. We don't need it. And dude fought really hard to keep it all intact, because it really wasn't harming anything. In fact, it was enhancing it. Made people want to go there. And the harsh winters of the Sierras or something else, like, you really need to relax and get every time you go out into the cold, your muscles just tighten, and you gotta have a nice, relaxing hot water experience. There was all these historical buildings gone. They bulldozed it. And at one point, there was a small ski chalet building, and I remember that. It was from either the early 60s or maybe even the 1940s, something like that. It was an A-frame, and the last remnant of not a ski place with like a big lift, where you ride in the chairs, but it had a rope lift. And by God, that became like the oldest surviving building on the mountain. And they just bulldozed that too. Like they have a war on history. I'm pretty upset. So then the other most historic building that was on it was the lookout tower, the fire lookout tower, like the cool old one, and it had mostly made out of glass and rock. Somehow they managed to get it burned down during the Dixie Fire, and I was just like, really? I swear to God, they could have saved it with a staple gun, because they had the foil to wrap it. But when they wrapped these lookout towers, so many of them burned down in 2021 because they didn't staple the damn thing down. They just flapped around in the wind, and the embers got underneath them. Hey, NorCal Niner, how are you? We're going to be wrapping up here soon, because anybody who missed tonight's stream, I don't want them to look at a 3-hour video and go, oh my God, but a 2-hour one is not too bad to catch up. How are you doing? I want to know how my people are doing. It's been a long time, but I am alive. It's a good exercise for me. I'm not quite ready to go live. Like, I have a little bit more remodeling around here to do. My health is improving, so I plan to be here for the summer. I'm just dreading this fire season. And I'm sorry, I totally explained that I was going to analyze the fire season. I think it has potential to be quite bad. You don't want early rains in the spring, because that means you get a lot of vegetation growth in the hills. Not necessarily in the mountains, because there's still snow on the ground, but the hills, where the wildfires start out being bad, and they climb, of course, up into the mountains. And the mountain winds can push them down to the valley. So in the hills, where the snow is not present, you get all this rain and this snow melt, and so you get this excessive weed growth. And boy, it's a couple inches one day in your backyard. I swear to God, you take 3 days off because you have the flu, and then you go to start up the tractor or the lawnmower, and you go, oh my God, it's tall as an elephant's eye. Like, I don't need a lawnmower anymore, I need a backhoe. Or a scythe. Or, you know, an industrial machine. So when you have this massive amount of weed growth, you have very little time, like maybe just 2 weeks, to groom your entire property for fire safety. Cut it all down. Because once California reaches the 90s in temperature, which is the 40s or something in centigrade, those weeds that were lush and green, whatever, are instantly dry and instant kindling. It's like having stacks of dry paper just ready to go with any spark. So you're like, oh dear, I'm sweating bullets now, I gotta cut that down. But you can't anymore, because there will be a ban on things like lawnmowers in your yard that would potentially throw a spark. Because if you are mowing and you hit a rock, or you forgot about that bird bath in the backyard and it's covered by weeds, and now you hit it and it's metal or something, you're throwing a spark right into that tinder. So there comes a point when you have to stop. This window of opportunity to cut down the weeds is probably closed today, being that Saturday we're having excessive heat waves coming in. So I'm a bit worried about that. California, even in a wet year, doesn't have a lot of rain in the summer at all. Late July and August will be the lightning season. And there's a race against time to put out the lightning fires before the Santa Ana wind season of October begins. It was October 10th that my friend died in the fire at Rica. I think it was October 10th. I remember hearing about it on October 13th, Friday the 13th, but that wasn't the day of the fire. That was the same day that Santa Rosa burned down. It was the Santa Ana / Diablo wind event. Those seasonal winds that happened from October to January. winter is actually California's worst fire season. When the date that Paradise burned down was November 8th. November 8th. We got really lucky last year with the mosquito fire because the winds were threatening to do Diablo-esque kind of behaviors, and then they calmed down in time for the firefighters to get a handle on things. But that was just luck. You know, firefighters can only do what they do when they are given the opportunity by nature and weather. So, you know, I totally wanted to take you on a tour of Mount Lassen, but I think we should get some rest. I hate to make anybody like stay up all night. I know that we've got some international viewers, but I had better get myself in bed. The orange on the map is the volcano. There's a couple of different peaks. It used to be a gigantic volcano, like, what was it called, Mount Lazama or something like that, or was that Crater Lake? But in the dinosaur era, it was a gigantic volcano, like a mega, super large shield volcano or something that collapsed. And formed a caldera. So at the top of Mount Lassen, there's like a plaque if you hike to the top. It's really easy to get to the top now that it's a shorter mountain than it used to be. And you see the horizon to horizon view because it's the tallest peak around. There's like a little map that shows you like way off in the distance was the left flank of that massive volcano, and way off in the distance to the right was the right flank of that volcano. And it existed 60 million years ago or something, and blah blah blah. And then you realize just how brutal eruptions of the past were compared to anything new today. I mean, when Mount Lassen erupted, it had X amount of nuclear bomb power in the age before nuclear bombs. But it's unimaginable the amount of equivalent detonations of nuclear bombs that the ancient past volcanoes put out. Like, whoa. So the Dixie Fire was so incredible that it started well south of Lake Almanor and west, down here at the bottom of the screen. But it made it to Old Station and went past it. It was rain that stopped the Dixie Fire. Mount Mazama is Crater Lake. Okay, then what am I thinking? Mount Manzanita. Let's Google it. Actually, you know what? We're on the wiki. Let's just look at the wiki. Ancient activity between 385,000 and 315,000 years ago. Volcanism at Lassen Center shifted from andesitic stratovolcano construction to that of dacite domes. Right? Riveting material here. But blah, blah, blah. Over the past 300,000 years, it has produced more than 30 lava domes, after Peak being the largest. And that's why we locals don't call it Lassen Peak. The peak fell off, right? It blew up. It ain't no peak anymore. That's cute. Back when they called it that, it's now just a mountain. So newbies that walk in and say, oh, I'm going to Lassen Peak, we're like, get out of here. They never come back. Noob. Until you can say Mount Lassen. Like, it's gone, man. There ain't no peak. It's a nub now. It's got like a nipple, but that's about it. Wait. Let's go back to the ancient geology. Lassen Peak lies near the southern end of the Cascade volcanic arc. And that's one of the weird debates. Is it really part of the Cascade Mountains or part of the Sierra Nevada? Because they end. And only a geologist can tell where the one ends and the other begins, because the mountain chains connect. But apparently if you dug down, you'd find different makeup. So, I'm going to search for the word caldera. There we go. This deposit, referred to as the Rockland Tephra, which means ash heap, reaches up to several inches in thickness in the San Francisco Bay Area. What? Oh, that's right. Mount Tehama. 600,000 years ago, the formation of broke-off volcano, alternatively known as Mount Tehama. Same thing as the county, perhaps? Around the same time, 614,000 years ago, an explosive eruption southwest of it produced 20 cubic mi? Okay, 83 kilometers squared of pumice and ash. That's a lot of fallout, covering an area between the vent and what is now known as the city of Ventura, California. Ventura is in Southern California by Disneyland, guys. This deposit, referred to as the Rockland Tephra, reaches up to several inches in thickness within the San Francisco Bay Area. It can be found as north as Nevada and as south as Idaho, or in southern Idaho. I'm getting tired. The same eruption also formed one of 3 known calderas within the Cascade Mountain Range, the others being Crater Lake and the Colson caldera at Mount Baker. I didn't know Mount Baker had a caldera. That's east of St. Helens and Mount Hood. Sort of off in the distance. In fact, I gotta show you a picture. There was a hiker on Mount Baker at the top, and they had just reached the summit when they watched Mount St. Helens blow up in the distance. They took a picture. It's just one of the most compelling, photos I've ever seen in my life. My photography teacher kind of taught us to analyze photos and how, how impactful they are and how to judge them, like we were trying to tell people about a Pulitzer. Okay, hang on. Most of these are on Pinterest, and that's just not going to work. Here's a Twitter version. Okay, hang on. I'm getting the photo. I found it. Shut up, Twitter. So, can you imagine? This is Mount Baker looking at Mount St. Helens. It just killed not only, what was his name? Doesn't really get bigger, does it? The holdout guy at the lake, at Spirit Lake, Harry Truman, David Johnston, and a bunch of loggers and a bunch of families and fishermen downstream with that eruption. Nobody's surviving in there. Just people on the periphery. Just damn. So the eruption of Mount Lassen, these are not even the most compelling photos. The ones from Redding are incredible, and I'm going to show you that, and then we're going to adjourn for the night. What did I just do? Did I just... See, I'm so sleepy. I just closed my own stream tab with the chat and everything. Okay, I'm reopening it. Oh, what have you got here? Oh, the Volcano Discovery, Volcanoes of... Yeah, oh yeah, that's a good website. It's hard to navigate, but that's a good website. Thank you for the links. So the nuclear bomb photos from Mount Lassen erupting from Redding. Mount Lassen eruption. That's what I'm Googling off the screen here. Yeah, this is U.S. Geological Surveys on website. I'm trying to find a bigger photo. I tried to take a personal recreation of this photo. Okay, Microsoft Bing has gone insane, but it's got its own photo search thing. You see the whole nuclear bomb effect? This is Reading, and this clock tower looking thing still exists in Reading today. Oh, for God's sake. I don't want to preview, I don't want to visual search, I want to view the image, but can you make it big? So the clock tower exists today. I stood right here and parked my car somewhere around here. But everybody stopped, and this is a long exposure because it's the Model T era of photography. And Reading is pretty far away from Mount Lassen. Let's show you in that map, earthquake map. Go back to terrain. You see, this is where the lake is. This is Mount Lassen. Reading's over there. Here's Mount Lassen. Reading is way over there. Wait, is this Red Bluff? Am I insane? See how tired I am. This is Reading, though. Oh. Verify. Yeah. So, here's sepia tone version. Okay. Oh yeah, Pinterest. I don't even want to view image. Why would somebody crop it? One day I'll just make a documentary and do a presentation of this, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys. I think this is AI trying to figure out what I'm trying to find here. And oh boy, friends, are we going to have fun with AI. I'm an early adopter of creating images with the Microsoft Bing ChatGPT. Like, I got an early invite to it. And I've been making it create for me some of the wackiest images. It's great. I even got it to make a logo for myself. Okay, let's see. Did we just have another aftershock? Yeah, we did. We had an aftershock over by the peninsula. It's the one that's in teal at 2.7. Nobody can feel that, but it's nevertheless an aftershock over by the peninsula. Now these dots are approximate. They're not pinpoint. A lot of the early dots were straight on the dam, like underneath the dam. That was quite alarming. This fault line will take a while to settle down. Or it's ramping up. Nobody knows. I just wouldn't be too, I would not be, I would be antsy, I'd just say that. Looking downstream of it in the canyon right now, I think I'd camp on higher ground for a few days. Excuse me, I can no longer hide the yawning stuff. So it's time to adjourn. I'm sure there will be a bunch of smaller things, but remember, there's no such thing as an earthquake. Another one of equal size, sometimes larger, usually not, but could occur within 24 hours, 48 hours, a week or two, the next week or two. And I don't know if anybody knows, if a calming down of these earthquakes means that that's a permanent calming, or if it's a calm before the storm, because what faults do is they slip and settle, and if they get stuck, think of it like stuck is what you don't want. There's now a bunch of lubrication theories, which were not really, I guess they were more fringe or more experimental back in the day when I had classes on the stuff, but there's now lubrication theories that if faults are lubricated by things like mud, vapor, moisture, and combination of gases kind of within the fault line, that they'll slide and glide smoothly without a lot of shaking stuff. Shaking begins when they kind of catch on something and tension builds up and it boing, think about putting an elephant at the end of your swimming pool's diving board, right? Eventually the elephant's going to slide right off, and the diving board goes boing, boing, boing. And that's from getting stuck. So I don't even know if we can calm down when everything is quiet. That is exactly what happened at Mount St. Helens. The weird thing about Mount St. Helens is it wasn't really a magmatic eruption that caused the entire side of the mountain to blow up. It was simply a small earthquake at Goat Rocks, which is a weak spot on the mountain. The small earthquake collapsed the Goat Rocks and left a hole wide open to the throat of the volcano. Because the magma had been pushing a bunch of pressure from beneath. It was just like opening up a shaken up can of soda. Boom. But had that 5.6-ish earthquake not occurred, and had Goat Rocks not collapsed, Mount St. Helens might have rumbled and steamed and vented for a bit and gone back to sleep. Because eventually, a lot of times magma chambers, they fill up and they cause pressure, but if the magma stops coming from below, it'll just harden into solid rock. Okay. On the inside, kind of reinforce the strength of the volcano. As long as no new magma comes up from below, it cools down. And then, once it's all solidified and the magma from below dips back down, back to the earth, the pressure slowly leaks out over time in a series of like steam eruptions and venting, and that's how volcanoes go back to sleep. It was a really minor earthquake, relatively, that collapsed Goat Rocks. And the pressure had to equalize, and that was boom. Funny how that works. Now, this is down by the lake. I'm still interested to know if it's somehow volcanic in nature. So I'm going to definitely be tuned in, see what the geologists say about it. Oh, and there's a couple on YouTube. Gosh, what was the guy who I thought was a robot for a while, embarrassingly? What's his channel? I want to link it to you guys. Definitely do a subscribe. So the Geology Hub. Yeah, Geology Hub. Now he's a concerned citizen like I am, and an expert though. I mean, I'm not an expert on anything, but he's an expert, a concerned citizen, expert, a real geologist. I thought it was a bot voice. It isn't. He just has a funny way of imitating the bot voices of geology websites and stuff. Whoopsie. And he'll do almost daily updates. So here's one of his latest. But totally, it's worth the ringing bell option for him. I'm sure he'll come out with something tomorrow. Like, he does almost daily roundups of what's erupting today and what's shaking today. And if he feels like a place should be evacuated, he says so. So this is about a landslide in Switzerland. Isostatic rebound, I think. It's causing mountain instability, and thankfully they've got an entire village evacuated, but it's pretty good. Those Syrianifications. I'm sitting on a straight shot from Lake Davis on the south side of Portola. Hey, what's up? It was like it came right in a line down to my house, 5 miles east and west, either side of me, and didn't feel it. Oof. I want to know if little tsunamis happened on Lake Almanor. That's what I want to know. Or the nearby one. I remember our swimming pool in the valley shook up pretty good. Several different quakes. Mom told me about the Loma Prieta shaking up a swimming pool. Yeah, SV Kathy says, glad to see you back. I was more of a lurker before. Have a good night. Well, don't be a stranger. We do like people talking. And, you know, I want to do a thing where we can have guest stars, you know. My voice is pretty ragged now. I've got to save it. So everybody, thank you for being here. I think we might be in for a bumpy ride with the weather, but really I hope I'm wrong. With the fire season. Pray for Canada, especially right now. I hope the dam stays safe at Almanor, because, oh my God. We don't need more dam problems in Butte or Plumas County. Yeah, really bad. I know, you can throw vegetables. I may or may not be on tomorrow. And I shall be on Saturday, covering the ODART. I think it's, I don't know if it's in conjunction with CalDART. I forgot to ask that question. The Oregon Disaster Airlift Response Team will take flight in a earthquake and disaster relief drill. We can't make this up. We were talking about that today in our Zoom meeting when this earthquake happened. Can't make this up. Doing a drill for Oregon and California earthquake relief planning, and there is a major one. Yep. Syrianification says USGS says evidence of tsunami at Tahoe, and Almanor has a spillway. Good. But isn't it urban, you know? What good's your spillway if it's cracked from the bottom? Yeah. Yeah, thank you for coming by, Rick. Missed all you guys. I missed all of it. And I'm just happy to be alive. Separate streams for a health update and a big thank you, and a unveiling of some of the new technology I have here. I'm sorry I wasn't ready for streaming today. I had planned to be ready for tomorrow and the next day, but disasters don't wait, do they? So, everybody's good night. Stay safe. Thank you very much. Thank you for my mods for being here and helping, and all of you guys who keep me informed. Good night and good luck.